Hey now. Welcome to a new edition of Hot Takes, baby. So glad to be here. Brand new week. It is August the 29th, man. We're almost in September, which is kind of like fall. That's a big deal. College football starts this week. A lot of people going to be drinking, maybe doing some drugs, maybe doing some blow art with Hunter Biden. A lot of stuff going on. Very excited about all of it. Thank you for checking out this podcast. Make sure you like, share, comment, and all the other things all the podcasters say. One thing I need to address off the top. I've been contacted about this countless times since we brought it up on the radio show. And I'm going to go ahead and put a stop to it. I'm going to go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. Everybody keeps asking me to send them pictures of the poop ice cream. Now, if you weren't listening to the radio show earlier, we did a story based out of Israel where this restaurant serves a dessert, which is like a chocolate ice cream or something, a fancy version of chocolate ice cream. They serve it out of a toilet bowl. So it looks like somebody took a fat, juicy dump in a toilet bowl, and then they're putting it on people's tables at this restaurant. So to snuff out all the rumors and snuff out all the requests for people to see it, because every time you'll ask me to send it to you, I have to look at it again. So we're just going to end it right here. I'm going to show it to you guys firsthand, and you can see for yourself what I was talking about. Got a toilet. Oh, no.
Oh my God.
Dig in, ladies. Dig it. Eat it. Eat. Oh, they're eating it. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Gimana?
Oh, they're bringing out seconds. Oh, yeah.
Oh
that
God.
looks like... that looks like a straight up big had Mexican the night before type of dump. I kept getting harassed about that, so I had to get it out there. If you go to Israel and you want some of that, you knock yourself out. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to eat regular people food. I'm going to go to the Mexican restaurant, and that may be the end result, but my favorite Mexican restaurants around here, I'll stick with that. Their desserts look nothing like that. Speaking of restaurants, not just a restaurant, but a pub, by the way. We just got back from O'Sherry Pub over in Moody. This place, I've never really, I've been to pubs before, but I hadn't been but maybe a handful of times over the years. But it's been a long time since I've been to one, like a regular bar, but two, a pub, like full-blown Irish pub. This place was awesome. You can go to the Talk 99.5 Facebook page. You can go to my personal Facebook page and see the video. But John Bird and I went out there. Justin was with us. Tony from Vapor Forge was with us. By the way, Vapor Forge bringing you this show. I got a sign over here somewhere. Where's it at? Here it is. 4673 Highway 280, 205-874-9010. Proud sponsors of Over the Line. Go show them some love. But he was out there with us, and we had a blast. Here's part of the video, actually. Again, you can find this thing in its entirety on my Facebook page. But check this out. Let's get up and give them a tour real quick. Y'all got to check this out. This place is so cool. There I am drinking a beer. By the way, Tony at Vapor Forge is with us, too.
Howdy.
I didn't ask him permission to be on there.
He didn't sign a waiver.
Justin's here as well. No. Justin's my buddy. Some days it's not. But yeah, dude. Look, even on the tables here, we've got
This is so cool.
a deck of cards. You got games over here on the fireplace. Look at this. You want to play some poker? You want to play some
And these games, we don't even know what
Liar's Dice? So, yeah, some of this stuff I don't even know what it is.
What this is.
You don't know what that is? It looks fun, whatever it is.
It does.
I would totally play that. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Oh, we got to check out. Did you see the tap on the other side?
Yes, I did. I actually tasted a couple of brews.
All right. I'm going to show y'all this real quick. I'm going to go behind here and check out this tap real quick and show my people. My people. This is where it's at. Right there it is, baby.
Yeah, baby.
You want some good beer on tap? That's where it's at.
That's what sold me on O'Sherry's Pub, because on one of their taps they have Donald Trump giving the double middle finger. I'm like, this is my place right here. This is where it's at. You can watch that video in its entirety on Facebook. There was one, and I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but there's one tap where it's like the price of the beer is the same price a gallon of gas was when Donald Trump left office, which is like $1.90 or something of the sort. And then there's another one that beer is the price of gas today, and the tap itself says FJB, like F Joe Biden. And I'm like, man, this is my spot right here. Love this place. So if y'all are in the area around Birmingham or East of Birmingham, or wherever you're from, if you're coming through this way, stop at O'Sherry Pub. Google it. You can find them. They're on Facebook as well. Top-notch place, to say the least. And a new addition to the studio. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Hey now. My beautiful Trump mugshot portrait. Oh, it's beautiful. We had to get one for the studio. Mean muggin'. This is for the deep state. You hear me? You hear me? Deep state, we're coming for you, cuz. So this will be memorialized here in the studio. As a matter of fact, you stay right there, Trumpy. As a matter of fact, my office at the station, I got one for that too, but not just anyone. I got a full-blown 20 by 30 movie poster size Donald Trump mugshot. It's going to go in my office. I got to order a frame for it. But that bad boy will be presented loud and proud in my office. Very excited. Very, very excited about that. So, here we are. You heard the show today. We talked about several things pertaining to a lot of other things. The first thing to know is that your president is out here talking about the greatest threats that we face in the homeland. Not just any greatest threat. I'm talking about the greatest terroristic threat to the homeland. You want to guess what it is? Anybody want to guess what it is? I'll give you a second. Go ahead. That's right. The greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is white supremacy.
To the point where the intelligence community is determined, the U.S. intelligence community is determined that domestic terrorism rooted in white supremacy is the greatest terrorist threat we face in the homeland.
Domestic terrorism rooted in white supremacy, that's the greatest threat. No, it's not even climate change. It's not the economy. It's not poverty going up or your inability to buy groceries. No. The greatest threat is not ISIS. It's not Al-Qaeda. It's not even school shooters, mass shooters. No, it's white supremacy. That's what you should be concerned about. I know as you go to the grocery store with your wife and your kids, and you'll have to pick and choose what you get off the shelf. You'll have to decide, do we want to, eat something we want tonight, or are we going to have to go with what we can afford? I know that seems like a struggle, but just know, white supremacy is right around the corner, and it could be coming for you and your family next. That's what you should know. Because of what happened in 2020, we're dealing with stuff like that. We're dealing with constant reminders of white supremacy. Because they got one over on us. In 2020, they got one over on us. And since they were able to pull that off, since then, they're trying to make sure that the guy they went through all that to beat never reaches the White House again. So we're facing 4 different indictments. They want to throw this man in prison. They want to get him knocked off the ballot. They don't want him anywhere near the White House because he's such a threat to business as usual. Take Georgia, for example. In Georgia, you've got Fani Willis, who is prosecuting Trump because he questioned the 2020 election. Literally, that's it. That's the basis of it. They're tying it into racketeering charges and a coordinated criminal conspiracy to overturn the results of an election. Now, if the election's not certified, I don't know how you can overturn it, but, you know, what does facts matter when it comes to the judicial system, right? Fani Willis is trying to make a name for herself. She is also, and we've been through it, a very, what's the word I'm looking for? She is a very proud Democrat. She's a very outspoken Democrat. She's made no bones about it. She's posted things on social media to make sure everybody knows that she was very pro-Joe Biden. She wanted Joe Biden to win this election. And she was even concerned at one time that what if he didn't win the election? Our country would be over with. She was so concerned, as a matter of fact, that during the primaries in Georgia, she expressed concern with the voting machines, with the voting process. Georgia had a lot of problems during the primary. And needless to say, they didn't get those really resolved in the general election. But in the primary, Fani Willis was concerned. And an audio clip has just leaked where she's complaining about Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger making the decision to postpone Georgia's primary election from May 19th to June 9th because of COVID restrictions. You also had voting machine issues, long lines. When there's long lines at the polling place, people get disincentivized to vote. Maybe they don't have time. They got to go back to work. And she was not happy about that because she thought that that was going to hurt the chances of the Democrats to win their election or put the right person in place. Here's Fani Willis herself.
And so we've got to do better. Georgia was on the national news, and the bottom line is we have to do better. They had 3 additional weeks to get this election ready. You remember we were supposed to go on May 19th.
We've got to do better, Fani says. We got to do better. We got to get our elections fixed. But now that the election's over, now that the general election is over, she is charging people, not just people, but a former president of the United States with questioning an election within the same election system she was questioning months before. She was questioning the election back in May and June. There's also the timeline of Donald Trump. All of this happened. Everything they're basing their case on happened at the end of 2020. Literally in December of 2020, 3 years ago. Where you been for 3 years, Fani Willis? Where you been? Nowhere to be found. No interest in drumming up charges back then. So what changed? Well, you know what changed. Donald Trump announced that he's running for president. So things change. Election interference seems like kind of one of those Donald Trump talking points, you know, that he repeats so often. But it's so true. It's never been more true than it is now with election interference. As you see, court cases are being set for the day before Super Tuesday. They're putting Trump on trial right before elections. Literal, very important elections. which, if you ask me, may backfire. If people are watching Donald Trump be dragged to court the day before they cast their vote, who's to say that doesn't change their mind about who they're casting their vote for? And it's not just Georgia. Georgia was corrupt to the core. We know that. Pennsylvania was corrupt to the core. It always has been in Philadelphia. Wisconsin had more problems than any of us can understand. In Michigan now could possibly be at the top of the heap as far as corrupt elections. I've talked to you at length on this podcast and on the radio about Muskegon County, Michigan. And to just recap the story, you had in Muskegon County one day, a young lady shows up to the city clerk's office. She is turning in voter registration forms. She's not turning in voter registration forms for 5 or 6 family members. She is turning in 10,000 voter registration forms in a county of 38,000 people. Almost a third of the county that would count for. 10,000 voter registrations. So obviously the city clerk sees this and says, that's a little suspicious. Let me look through this. She starts looking through it. She notices some of the addresses don't make sense. All the signatures look the same. It just seems fishy to her. So she contacts law enforcement. Local law enforcement, they come over, they check it out, and they're like, yeah, this could be illegal. So a cop starts roaming around, finds the young lady that dropped off the voter registration forms hanging out near a drop box. Stops her. Hey, what are you doing? She explains what she's doing. She says, hey, I'm working for this company called GBI Strategies, and they're paying me $1,100 a week to go around and collect voter registrations. One form or another, just get the voter registrations, get them turned in. He detains her, asks him questions, tries to get it figured out what's going on, but ultimately lets her go. Now, the cop that stopped her that day was a junior officer and didn't understand the severity of what was going on. The senior officer was off that day. He comes back the next day, finds out about that interaction, and says, why did you let her go? Like, there's a serious crime happening right here. He's, well, I didn't know. Fine, whatever. She went back to Detroit. Let's contact Detroit and tell them we need an extradition Willie to get her back down here. They contact Detroit. And you know how Detroit is. Well, I don't know. I don't know if we got time to, send her back. It seems like it's a lot of trouble, you know. We can't do it. We just can't. So now you don't have your lady. Now she's not going to come back to Muskegon County. She knows y'all are looking for her. So they can't get her back. All they have to do now, all they can do is start investigating what's already there. They start looking into it, but quickly realize this is a big deal. So they start digging and digging and digging. They start letting other law enforcement agencies know what's going on. Dana Nessel, who is the left-wing lunatic attorney general in Michigan, catches wind of this. And Dana Nessel requests from the Muskegon County Police Department, hey, we need to get involved with this. This sounds like a big deal. Now, the sheriff's office says to themselves, well, yeah, of course, you're the attorney general, and this is a serious crime. You need to be involved in this. So they do. She takes it over. And then super left-wing Dana Nessel says, I'm going to hand this over to the FBI. So she hands it over to the FBI. What do you think happened when the FBI got their hands on this case? Well, they squashed it because it's voter fraud. And you can't have people thinking that voter fraud was happening in the 2020 election. So they squashed it. But they didn't just squash it they squashed it because of a directive that came from William Barr. Donald Trump's Attorney General, Bill Barr, directed them to squash the case. Same Bill Barr that says there was no fraud, no widespread fraud whatsoever in the 2020 election. He saw it firsthand and had it squashed. So it gets squashed, and they're just left to pick up the pieces. They can't do anything about it. But they keep talking. And over the past few weeks, they've started talking to some media outlets, some unconventional media outlets that is not obviously NBC or ABC or even Fox News, but they've started talking. They're very hesitant to do so because after seeing what happened with the original case and how the most important people in law enforcement brushed it under the rug, they knew they had gotten into something. So they just start telling the story to places like the Gateway Pundit. And then they start digging further into it themselves. They're going through these voter registration forms. They're looking at the addresses. They start going door to door. And guess what? They find out that there are tons, listen to me, tons of fraudulent voter registration addresses within these forms. Tons of them. If you look at the police report, they explain this. I read this on the show, but I want to read it to you here because this is fascinating. Here's one part of one of the police reports. The next application was for victim 3. Now, they're just looking through voter applications, voter registration forms, and they're looking at one in particular, and on the name is victim 3. They have to redact this stuff, so it's going to be victim 3, other 12, suspect 2, whatever. The next application was for victim 3 with an address of Redacted Street. I responded to the address where I spoke with involved other 12, victim 3's mother, who said victim 3 was not home. I was able to make contact with victim 3 via the phone number provided on the application. Victim 3 confirmed he was released from prison in August of 2020. He denied filling out any voter registration paperwork, citing that he does not even have a valid Michigan ID. Furthermore, victim 3 provided me with the last 4 of his social security number, which differed from the last 4 listed on the application. So you start to understand how this works. These guys are filling out voter registration forms, and they're filling them out in the names of real people, but they're picking people who are likely not going to vote. They then turn around and vote for them. You get it? This guy in particular, he's in prison. He doesn't get released from prison until August of 2020, well after the primary. Being released from prison, he's probably got no interest in voting. He doesn't know what's going on. He hadn't been able to pay attention to politics. And so his vote gets cast, and he never knows it. He never knows somebody's casting a vote in his name. Clueless to that fact. It is one of many ways that these money laundering operations with GBI strategies or whatever get the information. If this guy who's in prison, you can look up his information on an inmate registry. So if you're somebody that's looking to find names to put on voter registration forms, you just go to prison and just take down names one after another. And you say, okay, it's likely these people aren't going to vote. It's probably got their date of birth and some other, normal information. Use it, fill it out, move along. They look for people that aren't going to vote, and they vote for them. They don't need their address. They can put down whatever address they want. They want to put down an address where they know they can then go pick up a ballot, a mail-in ballot, and then cast it. You understand? This police report goes on to say, in another case, suspect, I explained that many of the forms they obtained were not usable as they may be incomplete or the writing is not legible. These forms are stored in one of their offices. She claimed that the forms she had with her were complete and throughout the Muskegon County area. Some were from Spring Lake, which is Ottawa County. We viewed some of the forms to find the addresses did not exist. For example, there was a form with the 700 that said the 700 or 7,000 block of Pine Street or the 600 block of Moffett Street listed. These addresses do not exist in the county. Also, we discovered a form with 80 West Southern Avenue that is Muskegon High School and clearly not a residence. Other forms were incomplete and missing names of the person that completed them. They're getting them sent to high schools, abandoned lots, abandoned apartment complexes, somewhere where they can kind of pile up and one person can swing by and get them. 7-Elevens, gas stations, just anywhere that ballots can show up and one person or two people can swoop in and grab them. That's what happened in Michigan. And you can bet your bottom dollar that happened in other states as well. This wasn't just a one-state deal. This was a swing state deal. If you were a swing state, you were likely doing this. That's why when you say Donald Trump lost the election, but he won 80% of the bellwether counties that always predicts the winner of the election, this is why. In concentrated parts of swing states, they had an overwhelming amount of ballots come in. It's like everybody that never voted started voting all of a sudden. This is why. In one of these counties, they had more ballots cast than they had people registered to vote. That just came out today. Another part of this, Michigan's voter rolls reveal that 50,000 voter registrations have illegal addresses. And this is just the beginning of them looking into it. Those high schools, those vacant lots, there's at least, at the bare minimum, 50,000 of these people. 50,000. That could swing an election, couldn't it? It could definitely make a difference, and it's likely not 50,000. It's not even likely 100,000. It's probably 200,000-300,000 at the least. This is what happened in 2020, and all this talk of you don't have any proof of widespread fraud, it's all bogus. It's here. We have it. It's in your face. And I swear to you, if Donald Trump in this D.C. January 6th case can get his legal team on the stand, drag it out, drag all this voter fraud stuff out, and show it to their face where it's not deniable. Do it in Georgia. They want cameras in the courtroom in Georgia. Let's go. Drag it out for the American people to see exactly what happened in 2020. Because if you don't, they're just going to keep doing it. They're just going to do it over and over. I've got faith that we, the American people, can stop this. Even in Alabama, contact Katie Brick, contact your House rep, contact the people that are representing you in D.C. and tell them, I will never vote for you and I will campaign against you if you don't make election security the top priority. I'll make sure you never win another election. That's what we need to do. I don't care what state you're in. Start contacting your reps. Easy to find their information. And tell them election security is number one. You better get on it. That's it for me. Thank you all for watching Over the Line yet again. Back tomorrow with a brand new episode. And until next time, see you, cuz!